We're joined by a very special panel of guests right here on the show. Abhishek, Manu, Singhvi, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Prakash, Javadekar, Environment and Forest Minister and spokesperson of the BJP. And Mohan, Parasaran, former Solicitor General, also joins in with a legal perspective. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us right here on the show. Mr. Javadekar, to you first, what's your reaction to the legal basis on which these summons have been issued to former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and KM Birla? Is there a legal ground?
First, I am not very happy that the Prime Minister has to go to jail as an accused, any Prime Minister of India. But this is actually the scene of the Congress Party. I always think, because I was one of the whistleblower in this case, and because of our consistent efforts, we were able to get the CBI inquiry on. So, that is why we are saying that the Prime Minister should have immediately shown some courage. And if he wanted, because yesterday when the Parliament debate happened, Vijay Singh said that Manmohan ji wanted auction to happen, but Congress did not allow him. But he should have asserted, or he should have resigned, because under the pressure, Congress made him sign every wrong allocation.
All right, let's then take this debate across to the Congress Party. And Abhishek Manu Singhvi, one of the chief spokesperson of the party, joins us right here. Again, a legal mind at that. Mr. Singhvi, very quickly, Mr. Javadekar believes because Dr. Singh signed off on those decisions, he is partly responsible. What do you have to say about the legal basis of these summons, just from a legal merit point of view?
Absolutely not. While having spent a lifetime in law, we certainly respect court verdicts. On the face of it, I do not think that this is a case which warrants, on legal terms, any possible summons. There is merely a decision, that too forwarded by the Prime Minister, taken transparently. The sequence goes like this. Mr. Hindalco writes directly to the Prime Minister, openly, transparently. Prime Minister forwards it to Coal Secretary. Coal Secretary inquires down the ministry line. The Chief Minister of Odisha, in whose state this is to happen and generate employment, writes again openly on record, endorsing. And then the mine, after further discussions and open letters by the Coal Secretary and the various state functionaries, is given in the ratio of 70, 15, 15, which means Hindalco gets a mere 15%. Now, for a wrong decision, allegedly ex post facto, retrospectively, if criminality is attached like this, it is for this reason, and that's my second point very briefly, that the CBI files a closure report. Third point, after the closure report is challenged in the court, and the court directs them to go and question Dr. Manmohan Singh, a second time a closure report is filed by CBI. Now, of course, a judge is entitled to take a different view, but this seems to be a bizarre, exceptional situation, and I have no doubt, subject of course to all discretions of the courts, that appellate recourse on this subject by way of quashing or by way of other technical legal terms will succeed.
All right, I'm not going to let this debate become a part of partisan politics, and which is why let's take it to the man who perhaps has seen it at very, very close quarters. The Solicitor General, then, Mohan Parasaran, is joining in this discussion as well. You've had the chance to go through these files, Mr. Parasaran. Is there enough legal ground for the summons that have been issued to the former Prime Minister today?
As far as this case is concerned, I had the occasion to examine the files when I was the Solicitor General, along with the then Attorney General, Mr. Vahanmati. And what I personally feel, this is only my personal opinion, I don't think that any criminality is involved ex specie, and what possibly can be, I think, presumed to be somewhat a civil wrong is now sought to be converted into a criminal offence.
Right, but you know, Mr. Parasaran, considering you've studied the files, you claim to have studied the files, and you believe there is no criminal conspiracy, so what really went wrong? Why do you think is the court issued these summons?
I don't think there was anything grossly wrong. At best, what I could call was possibly, yeah, the auction was the best route. They did not go by auction. But, yes, they could have gone in a more transparent manner. There could have been other companies. They need not have granted an exemption. But where was corruption?
That, Mr. Javadekar, how was this really a case of corruption? At worst, it probably wasn't a great decision. It should have been allocated in a more transparent manner. But where is the corruption, says Mohan Parasaran?
No, I'm not the legal expert. I'm not going to talk or react about what the court has issued summons. I'm talking to you about what happened, what went wrong actually. See, this was a Congress conspiracy. It is a Congress corruption scam. Because instead of merit, and therefore because it was discretion which was the rule. And discretion, they could not write the reason that we have received a recommendation from so and so. But Jayanti Natarajan made it very clear. Our ministry's projects were stalled or fast-tracked at the behest from outside and how they were influenced from outside. So that's what she has already narrated. So the trend and the pattern is same.
Mr. Singhvi, I want you to retort to this because the question really is, where does the buck stop? At the end of the day, this coal block was allocated in a non-transparent manner and against the recommendations of the screening committee. So shouldn't the buck then stop with the then coal minister, which was Dr. Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister? Then he had the portfolio at the time.
I think that the fundamental confusion is that in trying to sensationalize the matter, and I understand that since the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister is involved, sensationalism is the flavor of the day. I think the fundamental error is to attach criminality, even assuming there was some error, procedural or substantive, which by no means is at all clear or proved. But an error cannot lead to criminality. I think I would like to see that minority of one in this country who believes in any manner that the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh could be corrupt. In fact, let me tell you that Mr. Parekh himself enjoys an outstanding reputation for probity. So I think it is the theatre of the absurd, but yes, it's a court proceeding, and I think it needs to be dealt with as per law, and it will be dealt with, and I have no doubt about the chances of success.
All right, dealt with as per law, where does the buck stop? Is the question that I continue to ask. And let me ask the Solicitor General then, Mohan Parasaran himself, shouldn't the Prime Minister take the blame for what went wrong? It may not be corruption, it may not be criminal procedures, but something did go wrong. And as the coal minister then, shouldn't the buck stop with him, Mr. Parasaran?
The buck has to stop with the Prime Minister if there is a criminal conspiracy and criminal liability. But the CBI itself is not able to prove that there was any amount of any corruption involved in it. Where is the corruption? Even circumstantially, the CBI is not able to prove. Corruption should be either direct evidence, by direct evidence, or you should be able to establish corruption prima facie by strong circumstantial evidence. But if there is no circumstantial evidence, nor direct evidence, you can't merely say that he was actually present when the decision making was taken. The buck should stop with the Prime Minister.
Mr. Javadekar, comment on that, because at the heart of this case is really a corporate with an otherwise clean reputation making a strong case for his company after he was denied a mine. Is that wrong? The then Prime Minister expedited the process. Don't lobbies and groups and and CEOs meet ministers, even in your government, make their case, lobby for a particular cause. It happens even before the budget. What's wrong?
No. Actually, we call all the stakeholders. That's the usual process before budgeting, that all the stakeholders are called. In all our reforms and notification and law reforms or rule reforms, we always discuss with stakeholders, and that's a legitimate process. Even if somebody wants to put up his case and ministry officials listen to it, or even minister listens to it, nothing wrong in it. The wrong what is whether that decision was based on policy whether that was based on a proper procedure and whether detailed reasoning was given or not, whether there were other alternatives available or not. And if you are sanctioning somebody a coal block, and if you are rejecting others who had applied, you have to clearly mention why one A is selected and why B, C, D, E, F are not given. So that reasoning was not there, and that formed the basis of Supreme Court judgment cancelling the coal allotments.
Fair enough. Let's now talk about the implications of this court ruling today, where they issued summons. Mr. Parasaran, UPA, during the tenure of which you were the Solicitor General, was accused of policy paralysis. Do you believe this order will hinder policy making, even in Prime Minister Modi's government, where this could play in the minds of bureaucrats and policy makers when they go ahead and take decisions?
Definitely, I think. See, it will definitely affect the functioning of any government. And I think the governments will tend to be very slow. Even now, I think what the government has taken a decision is not to put anything in writing, no? The present government has taken a call not to put any of the decisions in writing.
But isn't that a very dangerous precedent?
Yeah, that is quite a dangerous precedent, because you can't actually find out what weighed in the mind of people, no? Decisions will be in writing, but the reasons for the decision may not be in writing, no?
I wonder if Mr. Javadekar is going to comment on it, but for the fear of the fact that he will not, Mr. Javadekar, my question to you really is that now that you're a part of government, a part of policy making, handling a very controversial but a crucial ministry like environment, don't charges like these hinder policy making? Somewhere in the back of your mind, doesn't it play that never know what decision I take today, I could actually be questioned for it 10 years down the line?
But that is why my first sentence on your interview, please see that again, it is that I am not happy that the Prime Minister has to go to the court and of any party, but that's bad. But that's bad happened because Congress did bad. And Manmohan ji could not resist. I think that sums up the story. But still, I said yesterday that you made a person, a great economist like Manmohan Singh, to act like this. So it's a party which is responsible.
Fair enough. Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, some of your colleagues in the Congress party are calling it political vendetta now. Isn't that a completely unsubstantiated claim? The call to issue summons at the end of the day has been taken by a trial court. What has the government got to do with this?
I wouldn't, you see, I never believe in overstating, and I don't believe in, being trigger happy. Unless I have evidence to the contrary, which at the moment I don't, I would not use that phrase. But certainly it is a case of legal overreach, which can be corrected only legally by appellate or superior recourse in the hierarchy of courts.
Fair enough, Mr. Javadekar, let you have the last word in this. Mr. Singhvi is a little guarded, but many in his party believe that today's action, in a sense, smacks of political vendetta. What defense do you have for that charge?
No, there is nothing to defend, because courts are independent. In our country, courts every time even castigate or aspersions or directions are issued to the government. MOAF is one such ministry where daily we receive many directions. So this happens. So courts are independent, and that's good. Good for democracy that courts, legislature and executive, all are independently working. That will always is a way forward for the larger welfare of the country. And therefore, nobody can accuse or raise a finger, because you can't influence the courts.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.